So for today's practice, one block. If you're practicing on a wood floor, a yoga blanket or a towel, so you can do a little sliding with that on the floor, and a chair of some sort. If you have a yoga chair, that's great, but you don't have to have a yoga chair. You could have a piano bench, a big armchair that you could put your hands on the seat of the chair. If you have a nice folding chair, that works. And then we'll start on our backs. Just take a few minutes to settle in. Stretching through your legs, your arms, maybe knees bent, some windshield wipers. Just take a few minutes to settle in and wiggle around and make sure you're in your body and not somewhere else in thought. Whatever you need to do to achieve that. And then you might bring your attention to your core, your physical core, but also your metaphysical core, who you are, what's important to you. So when we strengthen through the body, when we work through the body, of course, we also work all the layers of our being, thinking about working all the layers of your being. And then here we go. We'll start by stacking your knees over your hips. Okay, knees over hips, and draw your low back down towards the floor. And then on your next inhale, you'll straighten your right leg and straighten your right arm behind you, hovering both leg and arm, and then bring yourself back to the starting position. And on your next inhale, straighten the left leg, straighten the right arm, hover, and then bring that back to the starting position. So let's do about 6 to 12 on each side. Go at your own pace. So same arm, same leg. Keep drawing your navel down in towards the center of your body, your low back towards the floor. And remember to breathe. And after you've done your last one, just draw your knees into your chest and rock side to side, round in a circle. And roll right over onto your belly. Tops of the feet to the floor. Draw your navel away from the floor, so your tailbone down towards your heels. And then you'll inhale, right arm, right leg, set that down. Left arm, left leg, set that down. Again, anywhere from 8 to 12 on each side on your own. Your head could be lifted, or you could have your forehead on the floor. It's not important how high you go. It's important that you are feeling the engagement of your back muscles along the spine and in the lower back as you go back and forth in this little vinyasa. And when you're finished, roll back over onto your back. Okay. Draw your knees in towards your chest, legs, upper legs perpendicular to the floor. Cross your ankles. Draw your heels in towards your buttocks. And release your hands behind your head. Curl up. And now you might not get much movement out of this, but try to lift your pelvis, your hips off the floor. So knees go straight up towards the ceiling. And, you know, I feel like maybe I could get a piece of paper underneath my hips. But there's not much movement. So just imagine that it is moving. You're lifting your hips off the floor. Don't bring your knees into your chest to do this. Keep the knees, the upper legs perpendicular to the floor. A few more. And stretch your legs long. Take a breath in Shavasana and then roll over onto your belly. Bring your hands to your low ribs, press to table. And here's where, if you've got a wood, if you're working on a wood floor, you have a little blanket that you could slide. I'm going to turn myself this way so that to show you the sliding action. If you're on carpet, just want you to rock back and forth, but slide your hands forward so you almost come into a modified plank on your knees, and then slide your hips back, let your hands slide back. So we're just rocking back and forth, but sliding the hands so you get a little bit bigger motion. And if you're working on a wood floor, a little towel underneath your hands, you'll feel there's a little engagement that needs to happen in the core as you slide back and forth. Good. Then the next time you come back, come to neutral, come to a neutral spine. Do a couple of rounds of cat-cow, paying attention to where neutral is when you pass through neutral. So you exhale, we round the back like a Halloween cat. And on the inhale, draw the chest forward and reach the belly down towards the floor. And then pay attention to where neutral is. We're going to need that later in practice. Few rounds of cat-cow. Great. Then bring your knees back a little bit further. So you're not, you're in a modified plank. You could have your forearms to the floor as well if it's too much for your wrists. And then draw your left knee in towards your left elbow. Place your leg back down. Right knee in towards right elbow and place your knee back down. Now, if you're up for it, you can also turn your toes under and get into plank or forearm plank and do the same thing. So you're just bringing your knee in towards your elbow. Okay, choose which works for you and do an appropriate number of rounds for you. And when you've done an even number, set your knees down on the floor. If your knees are already down to the floor, set your hips back in child's pose. Take 2 rounds of breath in child's pose, and then inhale, stand up on your knees. Reach your fingertips down towards the ground. Nice long spine. Draw your tailbone down towards the earth. And then take your hands, take your fingers right at the base of your skull. Your thumbs sort of hook around and right in behind the jaw. And then just give a little traction here. Just pull up a little bit on the base of your skull. A little traction to the back of the neck. Great. Then release that, but keep that length in your spine. And on your exhale, fold hands behind at the sacrum, fold down towards the earth. Inhale, step up onto or rise up onto your knees, reach your hands overhead. Exhale, draw your navel in as you exhale and come down towards the floor. Inhale. Each time you come down, change the orientation of your hands. Maybe somewhere between 4 and 6 more rounds. Notice if you've started to lose that length in your spine, you could take a moment to reach behind to the back of your skull, thumbs right at the jawline, and lift, lengthen through your spine as you continue. And the next time you set your hips down on the floor, slide your hands, come down onto your belly. Good. From here, then, we're going to come onto our side. Let's come to right side, right forearm underneath. And you have lots of options here. You can leave the legs slightly bent. We're going to do some hip dips. So you can leave the legs slightly bent, knees stacked. As you pick your hips up, dip them down towards the floor, pick up again. You can take your top leg in front, press up, down, up, down. So as you press up, feel your side waist pulling in or up towards midline, right? You could take your legs long. You might not get as far off the floor. I'm a fan of making something happen. So modify in a way that allows you to really engage your side waist. Good. So you're going 8 to 12 on that side. We'll go over to the other side. And same instructions. So you can have your knees bent. You could have your knees bent, come way in towards your chest. It'll be a little easier, right? You can have your bottom leg long, your top leg bent and placed in front of you. But you're lifting the hips. You're using your side. If you reach underneath on a lift, you'll feel your obliques engaged. Be kind to yourself. Wherever you are is fine. Mix it up if it feels like you want to feel what it feels like to stack the knees instead. Legs can be long as well. 8 to 12. Good. After your last one, come back down onto your back. Just take a couple rounds of windshield wipers. Maybe working the arms a little bit. You could cross your arms in front of your chest. Just get some big movement. Loosen up anything here. And then bring your arms out to your sides and hover. Stack your knees over your chest again. Curl up slightly and press down into an imaginary wall. So the hands are hovering off the floor. Knees are stacked over hips and lower legs are parallel to the floor. All right. Now, if that's too much on your neck, just go back down. But if you can hold that, you could stay here. Draw your navel towards midline and press your low back towards the floor. You could try reaching the legs out a little bit further, straightening, curling up a little bit more. And we'll hold this for a count of 3, 2, 1. Release. Let everything come back. Head back to the floor, arms back to the floor, maybe windshield wiper the legs. Okay. And then stretch your legs long, stretch your arms overhead. Take your hands behind your head again and lengthen, pull on the back of your skull to lengthen your neck. Set your head back down to the floor. So chin feels like it's into the chest, right? You feel like you're got a little double chin there. That's good. You want the back of the neck to be long. Great. Okay, so now we're going to work with the hip flexors, part of the core. So we're going to bend the right knee and take the left ankle on the right knee. Just like you're going to set up for a figure 4. So I'm going to turn my body just a little bit so you can see if you need to. So left ankle on to right knee. Okay, and then I'm going to straighten the right leg and I'm going to press my left ankle into my right knee as I lift. So I'm resisting with the left ankle or the left leg. I'm resisting. And then I'm relaxing everything back down. And when you come back down, just hover your right heel above the earth. And then resist as you lift up. You can interlace your hands behind your head. That might feel a little more comfortable. And then lower back down. So your abdomen's engaged, front's engaged. Draw the navel in, resist. And then lower back down. So relax to lower back down. Okay. So concentric work in the hip flexor, resisting as you come up and relaxing as you go down. Good. Now this next time you come up, resist and hold and press the 2 together. Press the 2 together. So you're pressing your ankle into your thigh and you're pressing your thigh back into your ankle. Good. Okay. You should probably feel that hip flexor by now. Now this time resist with the right leg as you press down towards the earth. Resist with the right leg and then relax back up. Resist with the right leg. Resist with the right leg. So it's eccentric contraction and then float back up. Resist with the right leg. Float back up. Okay, last one. Bend the right knee. Bend the right knee. You're going to resist with the right leg as you straighten through the right leg, heel hovering above the earth, and then float back up as you bend your right knee. Resist with the right leg as you straighten the right leg, heel hovers above the earth, and then float back up. Resist with the right leg as you press your heel away, float above the earth. Now float legs back up. Okay, you're probably feeling that now, so let's stretch the legs long and take your right leg and bounce it like a basketball. Bounce, 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 bounce. Good. Okay, shake your ankles out. Get ready for second side. You know what's coming now. So now right ankle over left leg. Straighten the left leg out and you resist with the right ankle. So you resist coming up and you float the leg back down. Press your right ankle into your left leg. Give some resistance and then float the leg back down. Okay. Try it again. Float back down. kind of like maybe you had some weights on your leg, but the weight on your leg is being supplied by the right leg. Pressing, float back down, resist, float back down. Resist, and now press the two together for an isometric contraction. Good, good, good. Then resist going back down and float back up. Resist going back down and float back up. Resist going back down and float back up. Resist going back down, float back up. Now you resist going, you bend your left knee and you resist as you straighten through the left leg and hover your heel above the floor. You're resisting against the right ankle and then float back up, bend the left knee, resist, float back up, resist. As you straighten the left leg, float back up, bend the left knee. One more time, come on, you got it. Back up. Good, and then straighten your legs and bounce your left leg like you're bouncing a basketball. Bounce, 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 bounce. You can bounce them both. Bounce them both and take a little internal, external rotation. So feet turn to the right, feet turn to the left, feet turn to the right, feet turn to the left. Great. Then from here, roll onto one side. Come to table. Take some circles through your hips. Okay, cat-cow. And then on your next exhale, forearms to the floor, hips back to your heels. Inhale, stand up on your knees, reach your arms up, reach the top of your skull up. Exhale, hands to your sacrum and come down towards the floor. Bend down towards the floor or come down towards the floor. Hinge down towards the floor. Good. Inhale, stand up on your knees, reach your arms overhead. Exhale, hands down to the floor, turn toes under, press up and back, downward facing dog. Stroll your dog out. And then take your feet as wide as your mat. Pick up your right hand like you've got a big paw and set it back down. Left hand up and down. Right hand up and down like you got a big, big lion's paw. So you're just bringing up, lifting up, bend the elbow, lift up, big paw, set it back down. Good. Then pick up your right foot like you got a big paw, set it back down. Left, right, left. Good. Then walk your big paws up towards your hands. Good. Set your hips back, rest your forearms on your thighs. Take a few rounds of cat-cow. Good. Then the next time you find yourself in a neutral spine, stay here. You can leave your arms on your thighs or take your hands to your thighs, press up to standing. Bounce your heels. If you've covered your mat with a blanket, like I have, take your blanket off to the side. Good. And if you have a chair, portable chair, this will be handy now. If you don't have a chair, wall space will work. or a piece of furniture that you can just, so balance is not an issue here. So I'm going to start by putting weight in my left foot. And with my right hand, I'm going to pull my knee up into my chest. So using that same hip flexor work, right? And then I'm going to release my hand and see if I can kind of keep my knee in the same place. Then grab your shin and pull it up a little bit more. Release your hand. Take your knee out to the side and place your foot in Vrksasana. So you've got your hand on a piece of furniture on the wall. Draw your left hip in. If you want to release your hands and come into prayer or reach the hands overhead, that's fine. Or you can just stay with the support of the piece of furniture. Work in the hip here. Good. And then release out of that. Shake your legs out, bounce your heels. We'll go to the other side. So weight into your right foot. Draw your knee up into your chest, left knee, without going into an extended back bend here. So keep your core pulling in, keep your navel pulling in, so the spine is neutral, and then release your hands. See if you can keep the knee where it was. Scooch it a little closer. Really draw the right buttocks in to help with this, right? And then out to the side, place your foot in Vrksasana. So notice if you, to do all that, you took a big back bend, you overarched in the back. We want to keep the back in a neutral position and draw the navel in using our core, hips, abdomen, back. And then you can bring your hands to prayer if you want, or over your head, Vrksasana. Good, and then release that foot. Scoot your chair a little bit. And from here, I want you to just come into a forward fold. And as you do come into that fold, think about the strength of your hip flexors, allowing, pulling back as you come into that fold. So it's not just lengthening in the back of the body, but it's a strength in the front of the body. So if you need blocks here or block here, that's fine. But really feel the strength of your hip flexors in this work. Good. Then come to halfway lift. Back into a fold. Bend your knees now. Press up to standing. Tadasana. Now from here, this is where you're going to need a chair or a piece of furniture. Okay, so chair, piece of furniture here. And if you have a nice portable chair like this, like just a lightweight chair, you can use the back of the chair. And we'll start by coming into, I'm going to actually use the seat of the chair here. Back is a little too high. So I have my hands on the seat of the chair. And so if you can look, if you need to look at my positioning here, it's like I'm in tabletop, right? And I wanna, you can go ahead and do a couple of cat-cows to find neutral. I want neutral in my spine. Okay, back of the head, back of the neck long, neutral in my spine. So gather your navel up and in, and then you're just going to step your left foot back without offsetting the hips. Keep the hips level, step the left foot back. Just a foot behind the right foot. Step it back in place, step the right foot back. Notice when you do that, if you go into cow to do that, don't want you to do that. Keep your back in neutral, navel drawn in. Good, come back. Now step your left foot back again. neutral spine. Bend your left knee and bring your heel towards your buttocks. That'll fire up your hamstring. Then lift your knee up without going into a back bend. Lift the knee up. Good. And keep the work. It's a little bit of work. Notice if you're gripping places you don't need to, and then release that foot back down. Step the right foot back. Neutral spine. Bend your right knee. Take your heel towards your buttocks, pointing the toes. That's part one. And then lift the right knee without turning your pelvis, without a big back bend, just straight out of your core. Set that foot down. Okay, if you need to take a little break and shake out the arms, shake out the legs, you can. We got a few more rounds here. Okay, so tabletop position with hands on the chair. Step the left foot back. Bend your left knee, bring your left heel towards your buttocks. And then lift the knee without tipping to one side and without overarching, and then straighten that leg. All right, warrior three, right? Holding. Right buttocks are engaged. Good, and then set the left foot down. Step the right foot back. Bend your right knee, bring your right heel towards your buttocks. Draw your knee up in space without tipping, without overarching, and then straighten the leg. Keep drawing your navel up and in so you have core working here and not just a big back bend. Left buttocks are engaged. Release. Good work. Okay, stand up. Tadasana. Take your hands out in front of you and push into an imaginary space. Try it again. Just hands out in front, push into imaginary space. This is the action we want with the arms. So now I bring our hands back to the chair and step back. So the arms were more like in a downward dog. Okay? So arms are extended. And you've got that pushing action we just did. Okay? Starting with the left foot again, step the left foot back. Bend your left knee, bring your heel towards your buttocks. So keep the knee bent here now. And draw your knee into your chest. And bring your forehead towards your knee. Yep, you got it. And then release. Step your right foot back. Bend your right heel towards your buttocks. And then draw your knee in towards your chest, or your around your forehead towards your knee. They might not touch, they probably won't. Draw your navel up and in, and release. Walk your feet up towards your chair, bend through the knees, circle the hips around, stand up, shake out your arms. One more round. Okay. Same downward dog position with the chair. Okay, notice if you're overarching, keep a nice neutral spine here. Step the left foot back. Bend your left knee, bring your heel towards your buttocks. And now you're going to bring your knee towards your forehead, and you're going to round forward, and you're going to rock forward, and you're going to come up onto the toes of your back foot. Draw your navel up and in for 3, 2, 1, step back, that same downward dog position, step your right foot back, bend your right knee, bring your heel towards your buttocks, and then as you come forward, you bring your knee in towards your chest, round your head towards your knee, forehead towards knee, and come up under the toes of your back foot. For 3, 2, 1, release. Walk your big bare feet up towards your chair. Take your hips around in a circle. Press into your feet, bend your knees, sweep your arms up. And exhale, let your hands float down. Good work, everybody. Okay, here we go. We're not quite finished yet, of course. And so now separate your feet so that you can use your chair here to come down into a squat. So your hands can be on the edge of the chair, knees are wide, you're up on your toes. Press your knees into your elbows and your elbows into your knees. See if you can have a back that is not too arched, not too rounded, nice and neutral. Relax your hips down. Press into your feet and lift your hips a little bit. Yeah. Relax your hips down. Press up. Relax your hips down. And come all the way to the floor. Great. And now you're going to scoot in so that your lower legs can be on the chair. Lower legs on the chair. Bring your arms wide. Take a few pelvic tilts or cat cows, pressing your low back into the floor and then drawing your low back away from the floor. Good. And then we're with your hands, palms down on the floor. We're simply going to slide the hands towards the legs of the chair and then release back down. Slide your hands towards the legs of the chair and come back down. Slide, come back down. Slide, come back down. All right, maybe somewhere between 12 and 20 more of these. Slide, come back down. Come back down to resting. Take your hands to the back of your skull again. Your thumbs will come right at the jaw, where the jaw comes into, the mandible is just the base of the mandible, and then draw the back of your neck long with your hands. You'll kind of have this double chin sort of action, then release. Arms out to the side. Okay. Okay, next. So next you can have your knees a little bit off the chair, so more like your calves are on or your ankles, just your calves or your feet are on the chair. Interlace your hands behind your head. Okay, now we're going to work the obliques, but it's super important that you don't just do this arm movement. So I'm going to leave my left arm, my left elbow is plugged into the floor, and my elbows stay wide as I lift my right shoulder pointing towards my left knee. But I'm not bringing my arm across my chest. I'm just lifting. I leave my elbows wide. Left elbow's down on the floor, release back down, relax back down. Okay, so you're gonna lift the right shoulder towards the left knee, right? And then you come back down. Left elbow stays glued to the floor and the right elbow stays wide. So notice your tendency to wanna do some kind of finish where you bring the right elbow across. Leave the right elbow wide, come back down. And again, somewhere between 12 and 20. Once you have done that side, same thing on the other side. The right elbow stays pinned down to the floor. And as you lift, you're twisting, and the left shoulder is pointing towards the right knee. And then you relax back down. By keeping the elbows wide, we really keep this in the core and don't get the shoulders involved. Okay, somewhere between 12 and 20. Next time you come back to the floor, keep the hands where they are behind the back of the skull, but drag the neck long. You can take your thumbs right at the jawline to help. And then release your arms out to the side. Just take a couple of breaths here before the next round. One more round with the chair and working the obliques. So now come back, change the interlace of your hands so it's the funny grip. And now left elbow stays pinned to the floor, and you're gonna lift and twist your right shoulder towards your left knee and bring your left knee towards your right shoulder. And then go back. And then we're alternating this one. So right elbow stays pinned to the floor. You're twisting towards your right knee towards left shoulder. Keep the elbows wide. Okay, keep the elbows wide as you lift and twist from the core. Notice your tendencies, notice your patterns. You might want to bring that arm into the equation. Leave the elbows wide. Elbows stay wide. And resting. And I did tell a little lie. We do have one more thing we're going to do. So take a minute, regain yourself. And now you're going to scoot back a little bit so that your feet are just touching the chair. Wrap your right leg around your left. Right leg around left. Good. So now the right elbow stays pinned to the floor. You're going to lift your left, you're going to lift and twist towards your right knee, left shoulder towards right knee. And then here you can straighten the right leg, straighten the left leg. Bring your left hand to the outside of your right leg. Holding here and then releasing. Okay, left leg over right leg. Left elbow stays pinned to the floor. Lift and twist your right shoulder towards your left leg. You could stay right here, or you could straighten the left leg, straighten the right leg. Bring your right hand to the outside of your left leg. Three, two, one, release. Either slide away from your chair, slide your chair away, move away from your furniture, on your back. And we'll do a few bridge pumps. So with the soles of your feet on the floor, reach out with your fingers so you can touch your heels. That's about the right distance. And then you can take your arms into the robot position, lift your hips and draw your knees away. Draw your knees away from your body, and then set your hips back down. And we'll do a few of these, just counter movement. As you come back down, you can roll down through your spine. Feel free to lift the hips, draw the knees away, and tuck shoulder blades underneath and go into more traditional bridge. Totally fine to do that as well and hold that, or you can keep this little flow going. Next time you come down to the ground, or if you're in a holding, if you're in bridge holding that pose, come down to the floor and come down and then cross at your ankles, rocking the length of your mat. You can come up to a seat. Taking the right foot in like Baddha Konasana, or the left leg in. Let's go left leg in, right foot out, right leg out to the right, like Virasana. And just a little twist to the bent leg, to the left leg, the one that's in Baddha Konasana. And then open up, big side bend in that direction. You can bring your left hand over to the side of your hip. You can come all the way down to your forearm if that feels okay. Sweeping up, hands behind you, lift your legs and change the orientation. A little twist to the right. So right leg is in Baddha Konasana, left leg is in a Virasana shape. A little twist and then a side bend. Now to come up, bring your feet together in front of you in a Baddha Konasana shape, but not right into the groin, just more of a diamond shape here, sitting up nice and tall, and folding any amount towards your feet. And just take your feet over to one side so you can come back to table. Turn toes under, press up to downward dog. And then from downward dog, walk your feet up towards your hands, bending through your knees, reaching the arms out in front through Utkatasana and come up to standing. Take your hips around in a circle and then find a nice wide stance, lining up with the long edge of your mat. Turn the right heel out, pick up the left toes, or pick up the left heel, and spin your toes out. Set your heel down, then pick up your toes and spin your toes out. So you find a warrior two stance with your legs. And dropping down into the warrior two, draw the right hip in. Inhale, straighten the front leg, bring hands over your head. Take a couple of rounds of this, just straightening through the front leg. And then dropping down into the warrior two. And then the next time you come down into warrior two, turn your back foot, spin around, find crescent lunge. On crescent lunge. Good, so front knee is bent, take your hands to your hips and step your back foot forward. Straighten the front leg and hinge at the waist, bringing your right hand to the outside of your left leg. So kind of a modified revolved triangle. Draw your left hip back in space. Release that hand, come back into the crescent lunge. Open back up into warrior two. And then straighten your front leg, both arms above your head, turn both feet to be parallel, and take a fold. Feel the strength of your hip flexors assisting, so it's not just an eccentric stretch of the back body, but it's a concentric contraction in the front body. Then bend through your knees, hands at hips, step up or hinge up. Turn the left heel out. Pick the right heel up. Turn it in, sweep it in to as far as you can go. Then you set the heel down, pick up the toes, turn the toes out. You should find yourself in warrior two then. And we'll vinyasa this. Just a little flow. Landing in warrior two. Pivot on that back foot so you can turn and come into crescent lunge. Good, then from that crescent lunge, you'll straighten the front leg. You're gonna hike the foot in, probably hinge at the waist, both legs straight. Take your left hand to the outside of your right shin. Draw your right hip back in space. So just a little variation of revolved triangle. Release the left hand, bend through the front knee. Step the back foot back a bit. You come back into the crescent lunge. And then swivel your back foot, open back up. Warrior two. Inhale, straighten both legs, turn feet to be parallel. And exhale, fold. Blocks are fine here. You can get your hands to the floor. Great. If you need your block, get your block. If you can easily get your hands to the floor, you could take your forehead to a block, having everything touching the floor, grounding. From here, let's come into a halfway lift, and then bend knees and take hands to hips. Turn the right heel out again. Lift the left heel, swivel it in, set it down, turn the left toes out. Come back into the crescent lunge in this first side. Inhale to reach fingertips up, and exhale Bring your hands down to your front foot. Step your left foot back to your right foot. Bend through your knees. Here we go. This is this fun lowering thing. We're being really graceful about lowering. Walk your feet towards your hands, hands towards your feet. You're in a squat. Bend one knee and set that foot back. So it's a half squat. And then you find yourself on the floor, nice and graceful. And then stretch the legs long. Bend your knees. Slide your butt towards your heels and come down onto your back. Any last thing you need, a twist of your choice, or a happy baby. And just begin to settle back down into some stillness on the floor, preparing for Shavasana. Take your time to come back to that stillness, right? And allow yourself these few minutes to just be in your body on the floor with the support of the earth. No effort needed in the final few minutes here. No effort. Take your time if you need to cover up. Give yourself a gift of stillness for just a few minutes. Softening your face. The muscles around your eyes. When we get contracted back into thinking, away from the presence of just being in our body. So relax around the eyes, between your brow. Relax your jaw. And soften your hands. I'm just going to close us out with one Om. Just listen, allow the vibration to move through your body.